Some more of your local news right now, and we are hearing from LGBTQ groups at Brigham Young University who say what's now required learning for incoming freshmen this fall is dangerous.
What I feel when I am with you and when I'm on this campus.
This talk is one of the most recent examples, like a very explicit and implicit message that queer students don't belong on campus.
Someone once told me that the young speak of the future because they have no past.
Especially someone so prominent in such a prominent place would be so explicit in the lack of inclusion for queer students.
The Salt Lake Tribune reporting next fall, Brigham Young University will require all incoming freshmen to read Latter-day Saint Apostle Jeffrey R. Holland's so-called musket fire speech.
I think violence in general is bad and we should try to avoid that. And I can see how the term musket could be kind of negatively skewed. I just think it'll be good if everybody just takes their time to actually do their research, interpret it well, and try to get the true meaning behind it.
The original talk, delivered from the pulpit by the church leader in 2021, criticized faculty members and students who challenge the faith's teachings when it comes to family and marriage as that between a man and a woman, adding they should take up their intellectual muskets to defend the teachings.
Our colleague, Elder Neil A. Maxwell, who had said, and I quote, "In a way, Latter-day Saint scholars at BYU and elsewhere are a little bit like the builders of the temple in Nauvoo, who worked with a trowel in one hand and a musket in the other. The dual role of builder and defender is unique and ongoing. I'm grateful we have scholars today who can handle, as it were, both trowel and musket." Then Elder Oaks said challengingly, "I'd like to hear a little more musket fire from the Temple of Learning." But the one he specifically mentioned was the doctrine of the family and defending marriage as the union of a man and a woman.
In a statement by the school this week, they say the materials for this course involve several important and significant addresses that have been given at BYU. It goes on to say the class has been well received by our students.
When you sign the honor code, there's other things you know that you're agreeing to. So I think if they require that as part of their admission process, I would probably agree with that and be happy to participate in viewing that or listening to that.
I was a student when the speech was originally given, and I remember that kind of in the days after it was given, there was just like tangible hurt in the community.
Both Rachel Billings and Gracie Purcell, leaders of the Rainbow Collective, say they believe it has become a bit of a call to real arms for some.
At our back to school pride event, we had a bunch of protesters show up with an assortment of weapons, with kind of this talk being some reasoning for that counter protest.
A very real example of what happens when violent language is used and how that is used for as excuses for violence.
In the statement from the school, it also reads, "At BYU, we want our students, including our LGBTQ students, to feel both the love of the Savior and the joy associated with living His commandments as part of a covenant-keeping community. We believe that we have a shared primary identity as sons and daughters of God. We welcome LGBTQ students and are grateful for all those who choose BYU because of its environment of covenant belonging."
I think it's really devastating that students in one of their very first experiences at BYU will get this messaging that either they don't belong, or people they love don't belong, or people they're friends with don't belong, especially in a university that talks so much about belonging.
Suggesting groups like theirs pull together and try to support members of their community who may be fearful of what could come from this.
We can't really advocate for policy change, but we can hold each other tightly.
And they say they're launching an email campaign to decision makers at the university, including the president.
Maybe this was just an oversight. Maybe they didn't understand fully the hurt that this caused so many of their students and so many people in this community.